Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast. This is my review of Taxi Hunter, a Hong Kong thriller from 1993 that stars Anthony Wong. It was directed by Herman Yau, who also gave us the nasty exploitation films The Untold Story, Ebola Syndrome, and The Sleep Curse, all of which also starred Anthony Wong. Now, the following plot synopsis was taken from the online description from 88 Films, which recently released the Blu Ray. One of the most infamous movies, branded with Hong Kong's adults-only rating. Taxi Hunter bravely tackles the underexplored scourge of unprofessional taxi drivers. After his pregnant wife perishes through the actions of a careless and callous cabby, mild-mannered Ah Kin, played by Anthony King of Cat 3's Wong, declares war on the entire profession, and you don't need the knowledge to know he won't be leaving a tip. Now, when I read that blurb, I realized that it was giving a misleading impression that Taxi Hunter was a Category 3 movie, also known as Cat 3, and Cat 3 is basically a rating from the Hong Kong motion picture rating system. And I've already covered a variety of these films on this channel, both in separate review videos as well as my Asian horror playlist. But in the West, we refer to Cat 3 as not only a rating designation, but also kind of a subgenre of film, because we expect certain things from Cat 3 movies, specifically graphic violence and or excessive nudity. So back to the description of Taxi Hunter, we see how they specifically mentioned Cat 3 in the description and adults-only ratings, but conveniently leave out the fact that Taxi Hunter was actually rated 2, a 2B, I believe, by the rating board. So it is for adults, but it is mostly lacking in the graphic violence and or over-the-top sexuality that typically appears in a Category 3 movie. So it would be like the difference between, I'd say a soft R and an NC-17 would be like the difference in the United States. Very sneaky marketing by 88 Films, but, you gotta sell some Blu-rays. In any case, this film opens with a nice nighttime shot of Hong Kong, with all of those neon lights. A good chunk of the film does take place at night, by the way. And a great actor, Yu-Rung Wang, shows up early, and he gets a good little action scene. He busts some robbers who are speeding away in a stolen taxi, keeping in line with the theme of the film. Some pretty good stunt work in that scene, and the bad guys bite the dust. After that, he's partnered up with Man-Tat, who unsurprisingly plays comic relief. Quite the combo. I like their chemistry, even if it is a bit silly. And then the story quickly transitions to Anthony Wong, who's our lead. And his character is actually developed quite well in this. And there are some unexpected moments along the way, especially during the second half. Now, unlike some of his other collaborations with director Herman Yau, Wong actually plays the protagonist in this one. And the reason for this is that cab drivers in Hong Kong are some of the most evil people in the world, apparently. So we need Anthony Wong on our side for this film, this movie. And, his character, for example, early on, he gets into a little fender bender with a cabbie, and the cabbie immediately calls his other taxi buddies to come up and bully our protagonist to, rip him off to pay for expensive repairs that don't really exist. So this movie puts the taxi drivers in a bad light almost immediately. But that's the fun element of the film, is that almost every cab driver in the film is a complete scumbag. They're always trying to con people out of money or physically intimidate their customers, all kinds of stuff, and then even worse stuff than that. This is apparently a pretty accurate description of what Hong Kongers feel about cabbies in real life. So much so that this could be considered a social commentary movie, and I'm not even joking. In the Blu Ray commentary, Frank Zheng discusses some of his own personal experiences with cabbies, and he basically says it's similar to how they're depicted in the movie, with the exception of maybe the murders and stuff like that. So when you think about it, Wong's character in this film exists as a power fantasy for people who live in Hong Kong who have, had bad run-ins with cab drivers. They're probably watching the movie man, if I wish I could do this in real life, So, yeah, and to no one's surprise, there are some nods to Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver along the way as well. Now, it does take a little while for the revenge angle to ramp up. There is there is a certain amount of filler material in this, but overall it's pretty well handled, I think. The runtime, again, it's only about an hour and a half, which is in line, with this era and, region. Anthony Wong's character does snap at one point, starts taking out his aggressions on the cabbies. This is what we want to see. And this is where you see the difference between Category 3 and Category 2. Alright, so now some of the death scenes in this, to be fair, do get a little bit bloody, like some stabbings and shootings, but it's not nearly as vile or reprehensible as what you would expect from, like, The Untold Story, Ebola Syndrome, Red to Kill and Run to Kill, and some others. So don't go into this with that expectation. But it has some good scenes. You have some good chases along the way, a few good kills here and there, and just a good overall storyline and character work. And because the killer is the protagonist, it kind of eliminates the more disturbing aspects at some point. Yeah. But and the ending is also a bit unpredictable. I did enjoy the ending in this. So I enjoy Taxi Hunter. It's a good flick. I would not necessarily rank it as like an upper echelon crowd pleaser, maybe because it's not as excessive as some of the other stuff that I like to see from this era and industry and type of film. But it's a good flick. I recommend it. It's currently available on Blu Ray from 88 Films. Now the Blu Ray is a Region A and B Blu Ray, so it'll play on a Region A player or a Region B player. So check it out. It's a good flick. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.